This is Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
A warm welcome to Pulse of Africa News. Right now, we present a story shaping our continent. I'm Samia Mohammed, and I'm glad to have you with us. We begin today's broadcast with Christmas greetings from Ethiopian Prime Minister. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has extended his best wishes to all Ethiopians celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, describing the season as an era of revival. And a message characterized by a profound reflection on the nation's journey, the Prime Minister noted that this year's Christmas is being celebrated with the conviction that the promised word of peace and the light of change have begun to manifest. Acknowledging the hardship the country has been facing, he stressed that the era of suffering is being bid farewell to make way for a period of national revival, even if challenges may still arise. The Prime Minister drew a spiritual parallel between the birth of Christ and the current state of the nation. As the birth of Jesus Christ redeemed the past and secured the future for humanity, Ethiopia's today must be used to validate its glorious history, he stated. He cautioned that civilizations like Babylon and Rome became mere memories because they failed to secure their relevance today. Therefore, he urged the current generation to ensure that Ethiopia's great history is redeemed through modern-day diligence, overcoming poverty and backwardness. Lauding the new generation of Ethiopians that has tasted the bitterness of past mistakes, the Prime Minister underscored the generation possesses the resolve to work diligently and transition the country, according to whom the nation's future standing is certain to improve as more citizens commit to hard work over mere ideal wishes. Addressing those who seek to hinder the country's progress, Prime Minister Abiy wrote Ethiopia's prosperity is an idea whose time has come. The government remains preoccupied with works that redeem the future rather than simply waiting for it to arrive, he stressed, highlighting the diverse reaction to national building ranging from those who support the truth to those who conspire against it. Abiy declared that those who work with diligence will ultimately prevail. The Prime Minister concluded his message by calling on all Ethiopians to celebrate the holiday by reflecting on their historic responsibility to build a bright future through today's endeavors. May Ethiopia live forever, honored and respected through the efforts of her children, he wrote, wishing Christmas a joyful and peaceful holiday. The President of the Republic of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, paid a brief working visit to Lauda, where he met with his Angolan counterpart, João Gonçalves Lourenço, to discuss the persistent security and humanitarian crisis in eastern DRC. President Lourenço, who currently serves as chairperson of the African Union, hosted the Congolese head of state for high-level talks focused on regional stability and ongoing peace initiatives aimed at ending violence in the eastern part of the DRC. President Tshisekedi emphasized that President Lourenço's involvement in resolving the Congolese crisis is fully aligned with international diplomatic efforts, notably the Doha and Washington peace process. He stressed that these initiatives are complementary and part of coordinated approach to achieving lasting peace. The Congolese leader publicly acknowledged President Lourenço's role as an African champion of peace, praising his sustained engagement and mediation efforts. President Tshisekedi highlighted the Angolan leader's commitment and leadership, noting that his very interesting proposals reflect a genuine determination to promote durable peace and stability in the region. The visit underscores the continued diplomatic efforts by regional and international actors to address the complex security and humanitarian challenges facing eastern DRC.
In Ethiopia, more homes and businesses now have access to electricity. Access to power supports education, healthcare, and local businesses. Light changes lives.
Ethiopia and Oman have agreed to strengthen cooperation on major regional issues in the Horn of Africa and the Gulf. Oman's Undersecretary for Political Affairs Sheikh Khalifa bin Ali Al Harthi announced during his first visit to Addis Ababa. Speaking to Pulse of Africa media, Sheikh Khalifa said he was pleased with his first ever visit to Ethiopia. During the visit, he signed a memorandum of understanding on political consultations and held the first round of talks with Ethiopian State Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Hadra Berra.
I want to say that I'm glad to be in Addis Ababa for my first ever visit to Ethiopia, and I was happy also to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on political consultations and to have the first round of political consultation talks with State Minister Hidra. And I think we have covered many issues, and we think there is a potential on the bilateral relations in the economic field, and I think we can increase, the exchange of investment, the exchange of tourism, and also the exchange of visits between the two people. And as the state ministers has said, that we are not too far, only 4 hours away by flight. Also, we have exchanged views on some of the most important regional issues on the Horn of Africa and also in the Gulf. And we have agreed also to continue this dialogue between both of us, but also we have agreed to increase the exchange of visits between the officials and the business peoples from the two countries.
The MOU signed by Ethiopia's State Minister Hadra Berra and Sheikh Khalifa marks a significant step in deepening bilateral relations. The political consultation focused on enhancing collaboration in political and socio-economic areas, reviewing bilateral ties and exploring expanding cooperation in trade, investment, regional security and multilateral affairs. Both sides emphasized opportunities to expand investment, promote tourism, encourage people-to-people exchanges and increase official and business visits. Sheikh Khalifa also highlighted the long-standing friendly relation between Oman and Ethiopia during discussions with Ethiopian Foreign Affairs Minister Gideon Timotheus. Morocco and Switzerland are set to implement the Solar Rooftop 500 program in January 2026, aiming to deploy 500 megawatts of rooftop solar capacity across Morocco's commercial and industrial sectors by 2030. Funded by Switzerland with $500 million through Foundation Click, the program will finance rooftop solar installations under Article 6.2 of the Paris Accord, with emissions reduction credited to Switzerland. Each system will be under 3 megawatts and connected to the national grid. As SR 500 is expected to create around 15,000 jobs, cut electricity costs for companies by 25 to 40% and strengthen investment capacity. The program will be managed by Africa Climate Solutions, ensuring technical standards, monitoring and transparent verification. The initiative positions Morocco as a climate leader in Africa and the MENA region and aligns with its goal of reaching over 52% renewable energy capacity by 2030. Now to business news. Nigeria's Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reform agenda is beginning to deliver positive results, with the 2026 budget designed to consolidate recent gains. In an op-ed published on Monday, Idris described the proposed 2026 budget tagged the budget of consolidation, renewed resilience and shared prosperity as a strategic tool to strengthen economic progress and accelerate shared prosperity for Nigerians. He noted that while the past 31 months have involved difficult reforms, early signs of recovery are emerging, including improved business activity, rising investor confidence, easing inflation, and stronger external reserves. It stressed that these improvements form the basis for better living conditions. The minister highlighted key social and economic interventions, including the student loan scheme, the presidential Change Initiative, youth programs, food security measures, major infrastructure projects, and renewed security efforts. He reaffirmed the government's commitment to transparency in public engagement, urging Nigerians to remain patient, reject misinformation, and view nation building as a shared responsibility. Investor optimism about the possibility of a new international monetary fund lending program drove Senegal's international bond prices higher, with prices rising by more than 2%. Senegal's 2033 dollar bond led the gains, climbing 2.8 cents to trade at 62 cents on the dollar, marking its highest level in 5 weeks, TradeWeb data showed. The advance followed a sharp sell-off that pushed the bond to record low on December 17. Senegal's euro-dominated bonds also rose more than 2 cents. Senegal had a difficult year in 2025, with bond at levels that largely priced in a restructure. However, a good bond auction on the regional market and the prospect of an IMF visit in January has created some optimism, said Carmen Atkenkrich, emerging market sovereign analyst at Aviva Investors. If a credible deal is done and the government shows commitment to consolidation, then bonds could potentially go sub 10%, albeit we are still some way off from that, she added. Now to sports news. The Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 is entering its decisive phase, with the quarter-final lineup taking shape after an action-packed round of 16. Senegal, Mali, Morocco, Cameroon, Egypt, and Nigeria have all secured their places in the last 8. Senegal opened the way with a win over Sudan, while Mali edged Tunisia on penalties despite being reduced to 10 men. Hostess Morocco advanced with a narrow 1-0 victory against Tanzania before Cameroon defeated South Africa 2-1. On Monday, Egypt overcame Benin 3-1 after extra time, with Mohamed Salah scoring late, and Nigeria cruised past Mozambique 4-0, inspired by a Victor Osimhen brace. The final 2 quarter-final spots will be decided on Tuesday as Algeria face DR Congo and defending champions Cote d'Ivoire take on Burkina Faso. The quarter-finals will be played on 9 and 10 January, with final set for 18th January in Rabat. Always smiling, talkative, and with a lively sparkle in his eyes, Noah Sadiki captivates as much with his personality as does with his football. Born in the outskirts of Brussels, the 21-year-old has quickly become a central figure in the Democratic Republic of Congo midfield. From the under-21 level, Sadiki committed to represent DR Congo, the homeland of his parents, a decision driven by identity and pride. It was a personal choice, Sadiki explains, speaking to CAF Online. I don't force anyone to follow the same path. I made the decision with a clear conscience. Today, many young players want to help their countries. Being here is both a pride and a pleasure. When I was a child, I watched almost every DR Congo match, he adds. Sadiki's path has not been without challenges. He was raised in an environment where football played a central role. His father, Francis, runs an academy near Brussels, while his mother provided constant support and stability. A combination of these two, a football-mad dad and a massively supportive mom, enabled Sadiki to learn the importance of striking a balance between passion and discipline. Beyond that, his choice to drape in the Congolese jersey was one made from the heart. On Tuesday at the Stade Moulay El Hassan in Rabat, Sadiki will step into the spotlight once again as DR Congo face Algeria in a highly anticipated round of 16 clash. Sadiki is no longer merely a prospect, he's already a leader, a reference point, and a symbol, ready to write a new chapter in the history of Les Leopards. Let's take a look at the weather forecast across Africa. That's all for this hour. Thank you for tuning in and goodbye.
The Africa we want. Africa remains one of the youngest continents in the world, and this demographic reality presents both a powerful opportunity and a serious challenge. According to Mr. Islam Swali, Head of Entrepreneurship and Investment at the African Union Commission, the future of the continent will be determined by how effectively it creates jobs for its young people, particularly youth and women. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Pulse of Africa, he emphasized that Africa's youthful population must be placed at the center of economic transformation if the continent is to achieve the aspirations outlined in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Africa's population structure is unlike that of any other region. Over 73% of the continent's population is under the age of 35, with a significant share between 15 and 25 years of age. This makes Africa the youngest continent globally, a reality with enormous implications for development, productivity and social stability.
If you look at Africa, Africa remains the world's youngest population. Over 73% of the population are under age 35 years, and between 15 to 25, 20% are between 15 to 25 years. Now, every year there is a need to create 12 million jobs in Africa. And so far, we've got only 3.1 jobs that enter the market. This shows that there is a very substantial gap. So we really need to focus on ensuring that they get jobs. So we can, for example, we can establish textile, collaboration with China on textile, agro-processing, light manufacturing, and etc. So to be able to close this gap.
However, this youth bulge also places intense pressure on African economies. Every year, there is a need to create about 12 million jobs in Africa, but so far, only around 3.1 million jobs are entering the market, Mr. Islam Swali explained. Job creation, he stressed, must become Africa's top development priority. Employment is not only an economic concern, but also a social and political one, closely linked to poverty reduction, stability, and inclusive growth. Youth and women in particular remain the most marginalized groups in the labor market and therefore require deliberate, targeted strategies. We really need to focus on job creation, especially on youth and women, he noted, emphasizing that empowering these groups is essential for sustainable development across the continent. Several key sectors, he explained, have the potential to generate large-scale employment if properly developed through partnerships and investment. These include textiles, agro-processing, light manufacturing. Collaboration with China in these areas was highlighted as practical pathway to closing Africa's jobs gap. We can establish textile collaboration with China, agro-processing, light manufacturing, and others to be able to close this gap, he said. These sectors are particularly important because they are labor-intensive, making them well-suited to absorb large numbers of young job seekers while also supporting industrialization and value addition within African economies.
The other thing is that now we really need to focus on job creation, especially on youth and women, because they are the most marginalized community, and we really need to focus on the youth in order to establish entrepreneurship programs with China, in collaboration with China.
Beyond wage employment, entrepreneurship was identified as a critical engine for youth empowerment and job creation. This institutional commitment has translated into concrete action through a range of programs aimed at building entrepreneurial capacity among young Africans. A number of practical initiatives have been put in place to help young people move from ideas to viable businesses, including annual training programs that equip youth with the skills to start and manage their own enterprises, startup development programs that support early-stage businesses, engagement platforms during African Union private sector forums, where young entrepreneurs interact directly with investors. One of the most impactful tools within these platforms is the startup pitching sessions, where entrepreneurs present their projects directly to potential investors. Startups come, they present their projects, and then we link them directly with the investors. Mr. Islam Swali explained. From there, they form some kind of joint venture.
With regards to the youth population and entrepreneurship especially, we have a special department and division dedicated to youth, showing the importance that African Union is taking with regards to the youth population.
These initiatives help address one of the biggest challenges facing young entrepreneurs: access to finance, networks and markets. Youth empowerment, he stressed, is not an isolated initiative but a core pillar of Africa's long-term development vision. The African Union takes a very good interest and is very committed to promoting youth on the continent, and this is specifically outlined in Agenda 2063. Mr. Islam Swali emphasized Agenda 2063 envisions an Africa where young people are empowered, skilled, and productively engaged in driving economic transformation. Entrepreneurship, industrialization, and inclusive growth lie at the heart of this vision.
The other thing, we've got quite a number of programs. We've got training programs that we organized every year in order to train youth to be able to do their own business. We also have startup programs, and during private sector forums like annual private sector forums, African Union Private Sector Forum, we try to engage youth together with the investors, and we even establish some kind of startup and pitching sessions where startups would come, they present their projects, and then we link them directly with the investors, and then they form some kind of joint venture. So African Union takes a very good interest and is very committed to promote youth in the continent. And it is specifically outlined in the Agenda 2063.
By investing in strategic sectors, strengthening entrepreneurship ecosystems, and building partnerships that generate real opportunities, Africa can transform its demographic advantage into sustainable prosperity. This is the essence of the Africa we want, a continent where young people are not left behind, but instead stand at the forefront of development, innovation, and shared growth.
The Africa we want.